I've played a lot of games, but as I've gotten older and lost a lot of free time, I mainly stay with the games that challenge me, games that genuinely push me to get better. Stressful games like Majora's Mask. The concept of saving the world in 72 hours, 54 real-world minutes, always scared me and even made me dread playing the game. But the masterful design pulled me back in every time. Where Majora's Mask is great and definitely had me scrambling to find a good rhythm, I think Silent Hill 2 managed to grip me more. Being one of my favorite games ever, Silent Hill 2 always has me clenching my butt cheeks at every turn despite finishing the game at least 11 times. I genuinely get scared to leave safe rooms and head down dark halls even though I know what will happen and when it will happen. I even paused the game like an absolute coward to grab another glass of water because I genuinely get scared of the funny triangle man. Resident Evil on the PS1, however, manages to be the most stressful game for me. It plays on all my personal fears. Spiders, dogs, yes, I'm scared of dogs, uncanny people, and a scary dark mansion where I'm all alone. And yet, I find myself playing this game again and again, trying to find better routes, saving less and conserving ammunition while dispatching as many enemies as I can. I've played this game at least 4 times this past week and an extra 2 times for this video. The satisfaction I get from beating this game and getting better at it is something I really wanted to share with you guys, but I can't express my love for this game in a few short sentences, so I decided to make this video.
Wow, what a mansion!
Before we get started, the main part of this video uses the new GOG port with the Rebirth fan patch. At the end, I'll be comparing the two so you'll be able to see actual hardware next to GOG's release. I mainly use the GOG port for its ease of use, and to be honest, they're pretty much identical thanks to Rebirth. I'm going to let the opening cutscene play out to give you an idea of the atmosphere the game wants to project. I'll just slide in whenever there's something I want to mention.
Alpha Team is flying around the forest zone situated in northwest Raccoon City, where we're searching for the helicopter of our compatriots Bravo Team, who disappeared during the middle of our mission.
You haven't found it?
No, I haven't found it yet. Bizarre murder cases have recently occurred in Raccoon City. There are outlandish reports of families being attacked by a group of about 10 people. Victims were apparently eaten. Bravo Team went to the hideout of the group and disappeared.
To start off, I'm a huge fan of the narration, giving us the basic idea for why our characters are even out here. It's very believable and really hammers home the creepy atmosphere and how ignorant our heroes are to what they're about to get themselves into.
It was Bravo Team's helicopter. Nobody was in it. But strangely, most of the equipment was still there.
Fun fact, if you notice Jill's face, she seems to be pretty unhappy and she's not acting here. According to the other actors, it was extremely humid where they were filming and bugs kept getting in their faces. I just thought that was funny and figured I'd mention it. We're coming up on the first real scare, and I think it's executed really well. I'll shut up so you can experience it in full, even if it is a little cheesy. One of my favorite aspects of the first Resident Evil is its mixed media approach to set design. You'll notice when the mansion comes on screen, the actual estate is a mixture of buildings and it's kind of obvious, giving it an uncanny look. Also, when the real pictures of doors open to the pre-rendered main hall, it really cements its uncanny design.
There are only 3 STARS members left now. Captain Wesker, Jill, and myself. We don't know where Barry is.
Chris Redfield.
I know people make fun of this cast slideshow thing, but I'm actually a pretty big fan of it. I think it fits the B-movie George A. Romero vibe the series was going for.
Barry Burton. Rebecca Chambers. Albert Wesker. Resident Evil.
I figured the best way to go about a Resident Evil 1 retrospective would be to give you a rundown of what a single run may look like. So I'll be doing a basic walkthrough of Chris's scenario. Heading into the dining room, you can equip your knife to make you feel better, but in all honesty, it doesn't do much. Entering the door to our right, we enter a hall where, upon turning the corner, I'm a really big fan of how the frame of the zombie looking at you hangs just long enough to be unsettling. It still freaks me out, just the rudimentary 3D design trying to recreate what a human should look like, mixed with the fact that it's a zombie, really freaked me out. I'm not even gonna lie. Inspecting Kenneth's dead body will give you an eerie message, but inspecting him again lets you pick up 2 ammo clips. Yes, I am aware I only picked up 1. Back in the main hall, Chris realizes he got left behind and finds Jill's gun on the ground. Picking it up, we now actually have a good defense. Taking a step back in retrospect, seeing as Jill's gun was on the ground and how she's locked up in this scenario, it makes me wonder if Wesker immediately subdued Jill and imprisoned her, but I highly doubt that, considering that means he would already be in the lab and he could have just let the tyrant out. I don't know, I just thought it was interesting. Making our way through the estate, we dispatch the undead and learn about herbal medicinal compounds. Health in Resident Evil is vital. Your character can only take a few hits. Zombies do a fair amount of damage, Cerberus attack in packs, and some enemies like hunters can attack more than once. So it's always a good decision to keep at least 1 healing item on you when playing as Jill. Playing as Chris requires experience and faith in your own skills. But just 1 green herb doesn't do much, only restoring about 20 to 30% of your health. So it's important to mix herbs together. Mixing 2 green herbs restores a whopping 50 to 60% of your health, and if you come across a red herb, combining it with a green herb will restore all your health. There are other combinations like adding a blue herb, which will cure poison status, and mixing all 3 separate herbs together makes a better, super powerful healing item that restores all your health and acts as an antidote. This is one of my favorite mechanics in the series, and I'm glad it survived even into the less horror-focused entries. Putting a bookmark in our botany studies, killing some more zombies, and heading downstairs, in the safe room we find some herbicide, which will come in handy very soon. Exploring more of the mansion, it becomes clear that Capcom really put their all into these backgrounds. One of my favorite aspects of the original survival horror games was the pre-rendered backgrounds. Back in the day on the PS1, N64, and Sega Saturn, you could evenly divide up your polygon usage or focus on backgrounds or models, meaning either the world looked great and your characters looked out of place, or vice versa. If you couldn't tell, I'm biased towards the latter. Pre-rendered backgrounds were used in everything from Ocarina of Time to Deep Fear to Galarians, but it really got its start here. Everything from hidden libraries to abandoned halls and scientific laboratories carry this heavy sense of uncanny dread, mainly because of their rudimentary design, but also because these backgrounds are clearly made with passion. Despite being out of place stylistically, they don't feel out of place, and due to the mixed media design of the game, things like FMVs don't take you out of the experience, but rather pull you in more. Making our way further through the mansion and heading downstairs again, we enter a room where we'll find Rebecca Chambers.
Whoa! What is it?
What? Oh! Oh no! Sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
You must be from the Bravo team.
Yes, I'm Rebecca. Rebecca Chambers.
My favorite aspect of any survival horror game, and just horror game in general, is feeling alone. And despite meeting Rebecca here, we won't encounter her a lot, unlike Barry and Jill's run, and no point does Rebecca really follow you around. To be completely honest, Rebecca serves as the deus ex machina for Chris, kinda like Barry, but she shows up out of the blue. So Chris's run is a lot more isolating and oppressive. It fits the higher stakes in my opinion. Chris has less inventory slots, the enemies do more damage, and Barry isn't here to save us from becoming a sandwich. We're actually given a choice here. Rebecca asks if she should follow us or stay behind. If you leave her behind, she'll actually die later on, so that's why I told her to follow me. Also, this allows you to play as her in 2 other sections, so of course I'm gonna let her come with us. Going to the outside garden, infected plants block us from a key, but thanks to the herbicide we got earlier, we disinfect the area and grab the armor key, which gives us access to the broken shotgun room, so we'll be heading there soon. If you head down this hall and unlock this door, you can actually make it to the piano room and fetch another key. The only problem is Chris can't read music. Luckily Rebecca shows up, but Rebecca's been out of practice recently, and this creates a really cool active event where if you let Rebecca practice, which you should, while you wait for her to learn the song, you can hear her play throughout the hallway, and I absolutely love this decision. While we wait for Rebecca, we grab the wooden shield and the blue jewel for later. Heading back to Rebecca, she's finally got the notes down.
You like it?
Oh, that was great.
What is that?
Trading emblems with the statue, we head to the dining room and fetch the shield key. Going through the mansion more, we enter a room where we find a zombie hidden in a closet. After reading the diary on the desk, it's pretty much confirmed the keeper locked himself in the closet before the last bit of sanity left his mind. This memo is where the famous itchy, tasty line comes from. I mean, hey, at least he still used proper punctuation before fully turning. In all seriousness though, the memos are probably my favorite aspect of Resident Evil and other classic survival horror games. Not only do they fill in aspects of the lore, it also creates a more personal experience. We learn about a man slowly noticing himself rot in his own skin, and we even get a glimpse into the future with a mention of Ada Wong through her boyfriend John's last words. I really love this style of world building. Learning about Wesker's secret allegiance with Umbrella through a document makes you feel like you discovered it, and getting a glimpse of the tyrant through a slideshow is really ominous. But the best part of memos are the ones that teach gameplay mechanics in a story setting, like the botany book we stumbled across in the reading room earlier. Whether it's Resident Evil, Silent Hill, Onimusha, or Deep Fear, I'm a sucker for pre-rendered pictures of books with spooky text. Sneaking our way into the tiger statue room, because who doesn't have one of those, we slip the blue jewel we stashed earlier and grab the wind crest. Making our way back through the hall, we grab the broken shotgun and switch it out for the working shotgun. The shotgun is your workhorse for the rest of the game as Chris. Jill can save the shotgun a bit before using it, but Chris's higher difficulty requires early use and better ammo/item management. You'll be able to find shotgun ammo in desks using small keys, but you'll notice I don't always do that. You also probably notice I didn't grab 2 green herbs in plain sight, and it wasn't an accident. Thanks to Chris's smaller inventory, the game demands you make tough decisions like skipping herbs for more ammo or skipping ammo for more herbs. This is why I chose to use Chris's scenario for the walkthrough. I think his story is survival horror at its strongest. It requires the player's full attention and doesn't back down when the stress is high. Do I use the healing item now to grab some ammo, or do I save the healing item just in case I get hit hard later? These questions have you sitting there trying to decide whether it's best to save the game or take a chance, because you can't risk losing that last ink ribbon. There were times on my first playthrough where I genuinely had to take a step back and gather my thoughts with a glass of water, because this game does not hold your hand, and it's fantastic. Modern horror games really hold your hand. They want to make sure you get scared, but stay alive just long enough to see the next scary JPEG and loud MP3 file. Saving Barry from stopping the creation of a crisp sandwich thanks to good game design, we can finally do one of my favorite puzzles in all of Resident Evil, the painting puzzle. Starting with the amazingly ominous painting of Jesus' resurrection titled "All Living Things Are Destined to Die." Creepy. This puzzle seemed weird at first, but you'll soon learn all you do is push the buttons in the order of life, starting with the newborn baby painting and finishing with the picture of a funeral. It's a great puzzle purely for the dark subject matter. It builds tension because death is a pretty hard pill to swallow for a lot of people, and I think it makes the game that much more dour. Nabbing the star crest, we exit the room, run across the mansion, and do a little block pushing puzzle that will come up again later, rewarding us with the sun crest. Going upstairs, we can grab some extra shotgun ammo, but what we really want is the lighter. Using the lighter, we can get the second floor map, and with that, we can finally head to the attic. This is Yawn, a genetically modified snake bioweapon that's apparently 40 feet long, which is pretty big. Apparently 18-wheelers are that big. I don't know, I'm just trying to find a good point of reference. So I guess this is the size of Optimus Prime. Do what you will with that information. I don't know. Either way, we gotta put Yawn down. While fighting, I realized I didn't bring any healing items, but it's okay because we don't actually kill Yawn here. After he retreats, we can pick up the moon crest and exit the room. Chris will collapse due to the poison in his system, but because we told Rebecca to follow us, we now get to take control of her and grab the serum, which is easily such a cool part of the game. I always loved when games would switch up the characters, and to be honest, I wish we got to play as Barry a bit. Evading any zombies we didn't put down, we run back to where we found Rebecca and grab the serum. Dispatching some zombies and booking it back, we finally give Chris the serum.
You all right?
Yeah. What happened?
You were bitten by a poisonous snake. Are you okay?
My head is killing me.
And an interesting point I want to mention while it's on my mind, when we fight Yawn again, he can no longer poison us, which is a cool detail. Now that Chris and Jill have built an immunity thanks to the serum, Yawn can't poison them, and it's really cool and to some extent realistic. Some extent, like, yeah, don't think you can like survive a snake bite if you get bit once. Now that Yawn is out of the way, for now, we can head outside and put the crest in place, unlocking the door to the garden courtyard. Entering the shed, we grab the crank on the top shelf, make our way outside, mix some herbs, grab the map, and evade some dogs. Then we use the crank we just grabbed to drain the moat thing and head across. Little snake dudes drop down here. I assume they inflict poison damage, but I've never been hit by any of them, even on the PS1 version, so I don't know. Taking the elevator down and dodging more dogs, we enter the guardhouse. The guardhouse is actually one of the most relaxing parts of the game for me. It's really short and we get a glimpse of the underground lab, and I overall just enjoy the aesthetic. We need to block this hole because a huge plant thing will sprout up and attack us. Heading into the room to the left though, we take out some zombies, grab the red book. Inside the bathroom, we drain the tub and find the control room key. Making our way to the hall, we can grab some green herbs. If we head to the big room next to room 2, we can find the key to room 2 under a huge hornet's nest. They're really easy to outrun, so just run back to room 2. And when you're inside, move the bookcases to reveal a hidden ladder. You can also read the report on Plant 42 here, and the guardhouse map is pinned to the wall. Heading underground, we push some boxes to make a bridge across the water. Entering the main room, it's flooded and T-virus infected sharks named Neptune will try to attack you, but like the hornets, they're so easy to avoid. Just enter the control room, drain the water, and unlock the next room. In here, there's a bunch of spare ammo and the key to room 3. Before we leave, if you enter the other door down here, you'll see the roots to a giant plant. Obviously, it's Plant 42, but either way, it's still pretty nasty. Heading back upstairs, we can finally enter room 3. In here, you learn about a special compound named V-Jolt. That's kind of weird because it kind of sounds like Compound V from The Boys, but whatever. It's an extremely powerful herbicide, which we'll need in a bit. Placing the red book we got earlier where the V-Jolt report was, the other bookshelf will move, revealing a secret door. Before we enter, you can grab an extra ammo clip in the bathroom. In the not so secret room, Plant 42 will just be chilling there, like it literally does nothing. It grabs Chris and starts sucking his blood. How do I know that? Well, it says Plant 42 drinks blood in the extended material, so I just thought I'd mention it. Luckily, Rebecca comes along to save us again. Taking control of Rebecca, we can unblock the chemical room, which is so easy to just brute force. There's no reason to use the lighter in the recreation room. Reading the report, we learn how to create V-Jolt. We book it downstairs and dump the super herbicide on Plant 42's roots. I guess this is why I learned chemistry in high school. You never know when a super plant organism will try and kill your friend. Hey, the more you know. Plant 42 will drop Chris, and now it's up to us to finish the job. It's really not hard. It takes like 8 shotgun blasts, and 42 doesn't like do anything at all. So yeah, before we're leaving, we pick up the helmet key and chat with Rebecca.
Oh, I can't believe it. Are you okay?
Yeah, so much for him. We got to the root of the problem.
Yeah, because I would say that too.
I just...
Really, thank you.
You'd do the same for me, wouldn't you?
I guarantee it.
What? Now that we have the comm radio, we might be able to contact Brad, so we make our way back to the mansion. On our way there, we run into Wesker.
Wesker!
Chris, you're alive.
My words exactly. Where's Jill? Aren't you with Jill?
I'm sorry. We were attacked by a strange monster. I lost track of her while we were scouting around. I hope she's okay.
I see. Well, it's not your fault. This place is crazy. If we stay here, all of us will end up dead. What should we do, Wesker?
We have to complete this mission. Whether we escape or stay and look for Jill, we don't have many bullets left, and we can't even protect ourselves. We are still in trouble. Chris, there are a lot of locked rooms in that house. Check them out one more time. There must be a place to hide safely. I'll look around the house a little more.
Okay.
Let's get going.
I don't know, guys. I think this resident might be evil. Running back through the courtyard, we enter the shed and make it back to the mansion. I'm not gonna lie, this FMV scared the shit out of me when I first played the game. I hate the movements and the footstep sounds, and the fact it uses the door handle, it just gives me the ick. Like, it literally can use a door handle and just open it. I hate it. Anyways, this is the Hunter. They're a direct upgrade from the zombies. In fact, everywhere zombies were are now replaced with hunters, and these dudes will beat the crap out of you. Their claw attacks has no cooldown, and they're hard to hit because they jump. It's best to keep your distance, says Chris, because you don't have the grenade launcher and it's super hard to put them down with limited ammo and with the shotgun. For some reason, I always manage to miss my shotgun blast, so it's best to just run away. That's like the winning strat, is to just run. In the office, we find some magnum rounds in the Doom Book 1, which has the Eagle medal inside. Evading death, we stash it in an item box and run upstairs to the reading room. It's crucial you kill this hunter, because if you don't, it will attack Rebecca, and if you aren't fast enough, it will claw her head off, which we don't want, and we already took steps to keep her alive, so let's see this through to the end. Entering the big piano room with cool floors, you can inspect the piano, to which Jan will burst out of the fireplace and smash the floor in. This is our second battle with Jan and our last. Thanks to Rebecca's serum, we can't get poisoned, so we dispatch Jan once and for all. Inspecting the hole, we can jump down. Inside the hole is a gravestone. Again, creepy. This gravestone is actually the mansion's designers, an ironic twist of fate, but that's better saved for a different video. Moving it, we can head downstairs where we enter the iconic basement. Iconic, or infamous, based on what you've played. Thank God GOG didn't use the awful director's cut soundtrack, because if you don't know, the director's cut had a special soundtrack composed, and I use that word loosely, by a dude who claimed to be deaf. Turns out he wasn't, but even so, he made an auditory abortion that sounds like poop music. But considering we're on the subject, let's talk about the soundtrack. The good one. Resident Evil is made up of ambient tracks with off-key tones to always keep a sense of uneasiness. It also features more suspenseful tracks when you enter small rooms with zombies, and more intense tracks like the basement. The designers seem to have a clear direction and knew to use a song and when not to. It's hard to explain sound when you're like not hearing it, and even more so when you're not experiencing it with the game. What I'm saying is RE's soundtrack isn't something you listen to in the car, it's something you experience as the backdrop to a great horror experience. There are some tracks like the save room theme that are good to sleep to, but overall it serves as a means to tie the overall vibe together, and I'm here for it. Entering the kitchen, we can kill the zombie on the ground, and if you want, you can pick up the small key on the counter. Making our way to the stairs, however, ew, just ugh. I hate it, but I love it. The fact that a zombie can physically open doors is so scary to me. We're back to the door thing. Yeah, I'm sure zombies throwing their weight on a door to open it is scary, but one actually grabbing the handle and yanking it till it just opens is just spine chilling. It's great horror, don't get me wrong, and amazingly terrifying. I just cannot stand how uncanny it is. It's weird. It's like, no, stop. Heading up the steps, we can unlock the door to make traversing the mansion easier, but we really need to ride the elevator. We're on the last side of the mansion now, and by this point the game begins to open up to you, and everything becomes straightforward. By this point, the mechanics of the game are laid out, and you should have a grasp on the controls. Speaking of controls, you probably noticed I didn't mention them, unlike every YouTuber who's done a video on classic RE, and that's because who cares? If you don't like tank controls, don't play the game. But if we all step back and be honest with ourselves, we know they aren't bad at all. And given the way the camera works, they need to be this way. So all I have to say is, if I'm a Gen Z who grew up with Mario and Halo 3 and I was able to pick these up no problem, then you can too. Or you can just not play the game and stop complaining about an almost 30-year-old game on Twitter. This is the library. It's probably one of my favorite rooms in the game, mainly because of the secret room where you see the helipad, but also because while I was playing, I thought, why doesn't Chris just hide in here till daytime? But I thought about it more. The only reason why Chris, Jill, Barry, and Rebecca are alive is because they keep moving, and it dawned on me that Bravo team never had a chance, and neither did any of the scientists. It's great horror. I love it. In the other room of the library, you can push the statue that RE2 would shamelessly steal 2 years later that moves a bookshelf revealing a secret study that has an MO disc on it. There are 3 of these in the game and they are crucial if you want the best ending. On this floor, we can grab the battery to power the outside elevator in the courtyard. But before we do that, we need to grab one more thing. Heading to the locked door above the room where we met Rebecca, we can grab some extra ammo and do a little puzzle to nab the red jewel. So now we have to head back to the tiger statue room, slip it into the other eye socket, giving us the Colt Python, the best weapon against hunters and the next boss. But I'm paranoid and usually don't use it till the end, but I do use it in this playthrough because I'm playing as Chris. Heading outside, we can power the elevator and use the crank to block the flow of water, giving us access to the underground. Cautiously exploring the area, we run across Enrico from Bravo team.
Enrico!
Don't come any closer, Chris.
Wait, what happened?
Double crosser!
Don't!
Hell. Umbrella.
Who is it? Is someone there?
Well, now we know there is an evil resident. Chasing after the footsteps, we pick up another crank. This one is hex-shaped though, and we'll be using it during the entire sewer segment. With it, we can rearrange some architecture and make a path to the previously inaccessible door. Dodging a boulder, Indiana Jones style, and one-shotting a hunter, we enter the next room and fight Black Tiger, the next boss, but thanks to the Magnum, it only takes like 3 shots. Slicing through Tiger's webs and running down a hall, we finally get a save room. Speaking of save rooms, I love save rooms in old survival horror games. They never make you feel fully secure because you know you'll have to leave eventually, but they always felt so relieving. Just a moment of peace while you organize your inventory and decide what you'll take with you. It's such a great concept, and I'm glad horror games still have these in this genre. I was actually completely taken aback and surprised that Amnesia the Bunker had a save room, like a central save room. I don't know, I really appreciated that detail. Leaving the save room, we dodge yet another boulder, grab a map of the underground and the second MO disc. Using the hex crank, we uncover a secret passageway leading to a room with another block pushing puzzle, which upon completion gives you the Doom Book 2, which of course carries the wolf medal. Now that we have both medals, we can ride the elevator out of the underground, place the medals on the fountain's base, draining it, which reveals another secret elevator. Riding it down, we enter the last section of the game, the laboratory. Pat yourself on the back, you just finished the main section of the game. Great job. Now that we're in the laboratory, we get an amazing selection of pre-rendered backgrounds, fun puzzles that test what you've learned, and the worst enemy in the game, but we'll get to those in a bit. The door in front of us is locked, so we have to climb down the ladder. Down here, there's an item box where you can sort some stuff, but there's a save room not far from here, so we can just move on. It's just good to keep a few inventory slots open, so make sure you do that. Dispatching the zombies out front, we can grab the last MO disc and actually stash it in that item box. Heading downstairs, there's only 2 rooms we can enter, so we enter the room directly to our right, and going down the hall to the unlocked room, we can inspect the researcher's, or John's, letter. He talks about being afraid and infected and wishes he could be with Ada, his girlfriend, which is Ada's cover story in Resident Evil 2 if you've ever played that game. So pretty cool connection there. It's kind of cool how I guess Capcom or Shinji Mikami, even though he didn't really make 2, had a basic idea for where the story was going to go. There's a puzzle here that gives you the passcode and username to the computer, but because I've already played this game a bunch and the password doesn't change, you can just skip this room, to be honest. So if you're using this to play the game along with me, I just did like an entire puzzle for you, so there you go. Exiting the room, there are a bunch of naked zombies that do more damage and don't stay down even if you kill them, so it's best to just maneuver around them. Entering the only other unlocked room, you can pick up the slides and access the computer. Login John, password Ada. After entering that in, it'll ask for another password, which is Mole. Now that you have complete access, you can unlock all the doors on this level and begin solving puzzles. Going back upstairs, we can enter the locked room and get the laboratory key. We can also use the slides to see the mini bioweapons Umbrella created, and the music here is just fantastic. That's right, Wesker is the evil resident. Who could have guessed? In all seriousness, I wonder what it was like back in the day before all the lore we have now. Probably actually was a surprise because honestly, all the characters sound like the evil resident or whatever, like the suspect who's betrayed them, because all the acting is just crap. So Barry sounds guilty, Chris sounds guilty, Rebecca sounds guilty, Jill, they all sound guilty. So it's, I don't know, maybe it was a surprise back then, but it definitely isn't one now. Using the lab key, we unlock the power room, kill some zombies, and enter the last save room. I'm actually a huge fan of this room. It really reminds me of Galarians, which Resident Evil shamelessly stole this lab design from 3 years earlier. I'm not going to use that joke anymore because it's stupid. Going back outside, we return to the hall we got the PC codes to and enter the door we unlocked. Inside are a few zombies we gotta kill and evade. On the desk is a passcode reader thing. Inserting the MO disc, we get password 1. Going back to the lab and entering the door with the green light, we have to solve a block pushing puzzle, and just like the one in the mansion, if you mess this up, toxic gas is let out and you'll die. It's a cool way to test the player's memory and evolution of skill. Climbing through the vent, we insert another MO disc, getting the second passcode. Now onto the last and stupidest passcode. The reason this one is stupid is because we have a new enemy to deal with, the Chimera, a human grafted to fly DNA, which is just diabolical. Bugs are my #1 irrational fear. I have nightmares of bugs, I get nauseous when people talk about them, and I get goosebumps, and if you mention bugs and I start thinking about them, I'll start tweaking. It's terrible. So you can imagine how much I hate them. I hate the chimeras, and the fact they do so much damage and can stun lock you. I just freaking hate these dudes. But if we're being objective, in a gameplay sense, they're great. They serve as a more agile and strong hunter that can climb and skitter faster, challenging the player's skill. Evading the chimeras as best we can, we get the last passcode and activate the elevator's power. Before we move on, I really like how the passcodes are Genesis 22 verses 16 through 18. I love the Bible, and I feel adding it to games creates a really creepy atmosphere, definitely in horror, and the verses they chose are really interesting. Genesis 22 is about Abraham sacrificing his one and only son in honor of God. Obviously, he doesn't, and it was a test from God, but the act showed Abraham feared the Lord, and even parallels what God would do for us with his one and only son, almost like foreshadowing. I don't know why they picked these verses, but I love the inclusion. Now that we have all 3 passcodes, we enter them in and gain access to the brig, where we'll find Jill locked up.
Chris!
Jill!
Chris, Wesker, he is...
I know. Shoot, it doesn't open. Look, Jill, wait here. I'll save you.
Okay, I'll wait.
Now that we're on track to getting the best ending, we can load up on supplies, save the game, and head to the elevator where Rebecca meets up with us, and we head down to the 4th floor. On the 4th floor, we run into Wesker. He explains he was working for Umbrella, but now he has other plans. Chris says the most verbose sentence I've heard someone say with a gun pointed at them.
Now, the worst possible situation has occurred. The failure of the experiment created a virus, a biological weapon, polluting the entire lab.
Wesker also shoots Rebecca, so that's bad, but he takes us to the lab to show us the Tyrant in stasis.
Is this?
That's right.
This is the ultimate life form. Tyrant. Chris? Stop it.
Wesker, you're pitiful. This is your savior? You say this failure is your savior?
You can make sure yourself whether Tyrant is a failure or not. Go to hell. Jill will join you too.
What?
Don't come this way! No!
You can't kill me!
Now that the tyrant is free, we have to fill it full of lead. I could have beat this faster, but I chose to use the shotgun for whatever reason. I don't know what I was thinking. If you use the Python, it takes about like 6 to 8 shots, if I remember correctly, but once again, I wanted to save ammo. After beating the tyrant, for now, we can leave and run into a completely fine Rebecca. After filling us in on the many uses of tactical vests, Rebecca will leave to set a triggering system to cause an explosion, while we save Jill, evading the chimeras who've invaded the main lab area. After saving Jill, we head upstairs, killing a few zombies in the process. It's important to stock up on healing items and make sure you have the Python in your inventory, while next to the last item box. Making our escape to the helipad, we insert the battery to the elevator, and Rebecca finally catches up. While the ladies take care of the zombies, we make our way to the helipad. Grabbing the flare, we can direct Brad to our location for pickup, but just before he lands, the tyrant, fully powered up, returns for round 2. Evading the bioweapon and taking every shot we can, Brad will drop us a rocket launcher to finish the job. This is a fun boss fight, even if it only takes like 5 magnum shots and a rocket to kill. I'm a big fan of it, and you know, it is what it is. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. It is actually pretty hard though. Bradley then lands and picks us up, and that is the end of Resident Evil. Resident Evil is one of those games where the concept is so outlandish, but because of the setting and atmosphere, it becomes almost believable. At no point in the first Resident Evil did I ever believe this couldn't be possible. Call me crazy, but something about a small team of what are essentially cops going to investigate a series of cannibal killings only to be attacked by almost dead corpses just didn't seem to be that crazy. I mean, the zombies in RE aren't fully dead, so maybe. I'm not hoping for Resident Evil's lore to come true, but I'm just saying, like, maybe. I mean, there's that whole, those Russian experiments with rabies. I sound like a lunatic. I'm just gonna stop. Alongside Chris Redfield, you can also play as Jill Valentine. Her scenario is a lot more forgiving. She has 2 extra inventory slots, a lockpick that can access any drawer that Chris would need a key for, enemies do less damage, and the penalty for messing up certain puzzles is negated thanks to Barry.
Oh, Barry!
That was too close. You were almost a Jill sandwich.
You're right. Barry, thanks for saving my life.
Jill is definitely the way to go on your first playthrough, and even a few subsequent playthroughs. Chris demands a lot out of the player, and most of the time, you'll only have one ink ribbon by the lab thanks to the lack of inventory room. Jill, you can just stock up on a lot of things and carry spare ammo or green herbs on you at pretty much any time. So if I were to recommend RE to someone who hasn't played a survival horror game ever, I'd say go with Jill. Thanks to the lockpick, opening up the mansion is quicker, making early exploration less stressful. Ammo is way more abundant, and health items can be carried on you at all times. This doesn't mean the game isn't hard, and I think the only reason I was able to have such a fluid experience on my first playthrough was because I played the hell out of RE2 when I was like 14, so the mechanics had been thoroughly planted in my brain. So by the time I played this one, I had a good grasp of what to do. Jill also gets access to the grenade launcher, which makes hunters a pushover if you aim right, and some bosses like Jan don't even stand a chance. If you're good enough, you won't even be poisoned by him, which happened to me. So yeah, definitely play as Jill in your first few playthroughs before jumping into Chris's scenario. Alongside the main game, extras can be accessed when you beat the game, or if you beat the game within a certain time. Beating the game regularly gives you access to extra outfits for Chris and Jill, and beating the game in less than 4 hours, you get the infinite ammo SMG. This thing shreds, and despite trivializing the game, it still makes for an enjoyable inclusion, and I even played the game with it. I mean, it is fun. I thought it'd be kind of boring, but it's actually a lot of fun because you can just stun lock hunters. It's pretty good. In the beginning of the video, I said I would compare the PS1 version to the GOG port, so this is footage from my PS2 running through the RetroTink 2X Pro and being recorded with the Elgato HD 60S. I still think this looks better, and I am biased to actual hardware. You can see that thanks to the Rebirth fan patch, the GOG port is a really convenient way to play RE in a 95% accurate way. To be honest, very few people care about this and just want a quick way to get their RE on, so you may not even be interested in Rebirth, but I highly recommend it just for the uncensored cutscenes and the better picture quality. I think you should do it. It's really easy. You literally just drag and drop a file. I'll leave a link to a video that shows you how to do it in the description, so don't worry. Games. I've played a lot of games, but few managed to capture me more than the first Resident Evil. Its masterful design pulls me in every time. Whenever I sit down to play some Resident Evil, I end up sinking about 2 to 3 hours into this game on my day off, just trying to get better. And I think there's a reason for that. Typically, when a piece of art is made with love, the best result is achieved. Starting with Sweet Home on the SNES, Shinji Mikami had an idea, and when he got the chance to make that idea, he took it. It's rare to see this amount of love in game design nowadays thanks to normie appeal and consumerism. Resident Evil was a defining series. If not for RE1, we wouldn't have Silent Hill or Resident Evil 4, and without RE4, we wouldn't have any modern third-person shooter, or if we did, they'd probably be pretty different. Resident Evil on the PS1 is easily one of the closest games to perfection I've ever played, and I mean that. Whether it's your first or 50th playthrough, the game never stops being fun. Actually, when I wrote and recorded the intro, I said I played the game a total of 6 times, but I actually ended up playing it more, a few times on my 2DS and a few special runs with the infinite ammo SMG on my PC. I say with all my heart, if you only play one Resident Evil game or one game in your entire life, make it this one. Like I said, it's really rare to find a game that manages to be both terrifying and comforting while offering a challenge for both new and experienced gamers. It's crazy to believe after all these years, the first entry in a genre that would take the industry by storm managed to keep its place as king of survival horror for 28 years running. Whether it's on GOG or PS1 or an emulator, find a way to play this game. You owe it to yourself, and thanks to its amazing design, you'll probably end up becoming like me, trying to find every tank-controlled pre-rendered background survival horror game on the planet just to satisfy that Resident Evil itch. But genuinely, if you have the time, play this game, you won't regret it. Anyways, that's the video. If this absurdly long rant about RE1 interests you, then stick around. I have a lot more videos on my mind, and I think you might like them. So subscribe. It does help me out, and it does actually help the RE community out. If you subscribe and like the video, YouTube will be like, hey, RE is popular, right? Okay, this is stupid. I'm just trying to sell my channel, but please subscribe and like the video. But thanks for watching. Don't forget to share, and I'll catch you later. Bye.